Assalamualaikum to our lecturer, Dr. Muhammad Sufyan bin Muhammad Rosbi. We are from class 22C. We will be presenting our group assignment for Principles Business Analytics. So today, I will introduce the theory of planned behavior TPB, a framework for understanding how intentions influence behavior. Intentions are shaped by three factors: attitude towards the behavior, positive or negative views based on usefulness, instrumental, or emotion effective. The second one is subjective norms, social pressure from peers, families, or co-workers to adopt or avoid a behavior. The third one is perceived behavior control is the confidence, resources, and past experience that influence how easy or hard the behavior seems. Unlike the theory of reason action TPB includes perceived control, making it widely used in psychology, health, and marketing to predict and influence behavior.
The first independent variable in this analysis is attitude. The scale consisting of 4 items has a Cromba alpha 0.785. A value of it falls within the generally accepted range for group reliability, which is typically above 0.7. This indicating good internal consistency, that means they are reasonably reliable in measuring the same concept and construct. Next is scale statistic for attitude. The scale is composed of 4 items with average 50.47, indicating the central tendency of the score across the items. Second, the variability in the score is reflected in a variance of 6.90, which shows the degree to which the score differs from the mean. Third, the standard deviation, calculated as 2.63, provides a more intuitive measure of this variability by indicating the average amount by which the score deviated from the mean. This statistic suggests that the item responses are moderately dispersed around the average value.
The scale, consisting of 4 items, has a Cronbach alphas of 0.710, indicating an acceptable level of reliability. The items moderately correlate, effectively measuring the same concept. The scale consists of 4 items with an average mean score 14.15, representing the central tendency of the scores across all items. The variance is 7.21, indicating the degree to which the scores differ from the mean. A standard deviation of 2.69, derived as the square root of the variance, shows the average amount by which the scores deviate from the mean. This statistic suggests that the item responses are moderately spread around the average score.
The reliability analysis indicates that the scale, which consists of 4 items, has a Cronbach alpha of 0.734. This suggests an acceptable level of internal consistency, meaning the items are moderately correlated and effectively measure the same underlying concept. Overall, the scale is reliable and appropriate for measuring intended construct. The scale is composed of 4 items with an average, which is mean, score of 15.10 across all participants. The variance is 8.09, which reflects the degree of variability in the score. The standard deviation is 2.84, indicating that on average, individual scores deviate from the mean by approximately 2.84 units. This statistic suggests a moderate level of variability within the scale scores, providing a general idea of how consistent or dispersed the responses are across the measured items.
For dependent variable satisfaction in using social media platform, the scale demonstrates good reliability with a Cronbach alpha 0.839. It is indicating strong internal consistency among the 4 items, that means suitable for measuring the intended construct. Next is scale statistic for DV. The mean is 40.77, which is an average value of the scale given by the summation of all individual scores divided by the number of the items. Second variance, which is set to be 9.40, reflecting the distribution of scores around the mean. The larger the variance is, the higher the variability among the item is. Third, standard deviation, being the square root of the variance is 3.07. In summarize, this statistic further gives a meaning to variability by indicating how far from the mean each data point falls on average.
The model summary shows the strength and explanatory power of the regression model predicting the dependent variable using three main factors, which is perceived behavioral control, attitude, and subjective norms. The model explained 33.5% of the variance in the dependent variables with a moderate correlation, which is R 0.579. The model is statistically significant, indicating that predators, which is perceived behavioral control, attitude, and subjective norms, collectively has a significant effect on the DV. Next is R. The value for R is 0.579, indicates a moderate positive relationship between the combined predators and the dependent variables. This suggests that the predators collectively have a notable but not very strong correlation with the DV. Meanwhile, R square, the value is 0.335, implies that 33.5% of the variance in the DV is explained by the predators. While this showed that the model captured a significant portion of the variabilities, adjusted R square, the value is 0.299. This adjusted value accounts for the number of predators and sample size, reducing R square to 29.9%. The adjustment reflects the diminishing return when adding predators. They may contribute little to explaining variance. The moderate R and R square values highlight the importance of PBC, which is perceived behavioral control, in predicting the DV, while the weaker contribution of attitude and subjective norms and the presence of unmeasured factors reduce the overall explanatory power of the model. The ANOVA confirms that the regression model is statistically significant, which is F is 9.403 and P is lower than 0.001, meaning that perceived behavioral control, attitude, and subjective norms collectively explain a meaningful portion of the variance in the DV. However, the relatively low R square, which is 0.335, and high residual variance indicate that the model explanatory power is primarily driven by perceived behavioral control, with attitude and subjective norms contributing minimally. PBC is the only significant predictor of the DV with a strong positive influence, which is beta is 0.576. PBC is the only significant predictor because it aligns most strongly with the underlying behavior or outcome being measured. It likely captures the practical and psychological control necessary to influence the DV, while attitude and subjective norm have very weak relationship with the DV and are not statistically significant, which is P is larger than 0.05, contributing minimally to the model. The lack of multicollinearity is low in VIF values confirm the stability of the model coefficients. This result highlight PPC, which is perceived behavioral control, as the primary driver of changes in the DV. The non-significant contribution of attitude and subjective norms, such as this factor, may not be important in predicting the DV.
Lastly, hypothesis testing. The p-value equal to 0.00 less than 0.05, which means we reject the null hypothesis. The regression model is statistically significant, meaning that the one of independent variable is related to the dependent variable.
In conclusion, the theory of plant behavior (TPB) suggests that behavior is influenced by three main factors, which is attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. In this analysis, perceived behavioral control was the strongest predictor of behavior, Aligning with TPB emphasis on control beliefs, attitude and subjective norms show weaker, non-significant relationship with behavior, which may indicate they are less influential in this context or require further refinement in measurement or analysis. Overall, the TPB framework is partially supported with PBC playing a central role in explaining behavior. Next, based on the analysis, the dependent variable DV is moderately explained by the factor in the theory of planned behavior TPB. Perceived behavioral control PBC is the strongest and the most significant predictor of the DV, highlighting its central role in influencing behavior as proposed by TPB.